Asante sana. Senator Onyonka Richard.
I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion. Mr. Speaker, actually this thing doesn't need us to say a lot of things. I just want to agree with my colleagues. There isn't an institution in Kenya today, and I'm sure Honorable Boni Halwale will agree with me, that is more corrupt, that is more disorganized, that is based on employing relatives and friends, that buys transformers which are fake, where they inflate the prices of all the wires and all the equipment that is used there, where they change the price of what the amount of tokens one is going to pay on a weekly, daily basis. Nobody can certify or satisfy or confirm, Mr. Speaker, how much money Kenya Power actually really collects on a yearly basis. Ever since I was born, ever since I went to the university, came and became a member of this house, that is the time since then, Mr. Speaker, that you look and you realize what cartel capture is about. Mr. Speaker, I believe that there's a cartel capture between KenGen, there's a cartel capture between KenGen and KPLC and Geothermal Development Authority of Kenya. The committee must go and do further investigations on actually what is going on. How certain individuals have ended up being majority shareholder of a state corporation, where they are now billionaires. Mr. Speaker, how many times have you seen people who are told, oh, go and plant trees, Kenya Power will be planting the trees. People planted thousands and millions of trees. After that, what happened, Mr. Speaker? They came back and said, no, now we'll be buying concrete poles. Then that contract is given to individuals who have already done a tender and made sure that the budget is the one which is accommodating the tender they are going to supply those concrete poles. It's a mess. I plead with the committee in this house and the members of this house, let us just disband Kenya Power. Let us make sure we allow private companies to supply power. Let us set the operational structures of these companies so that we can reduce the power and so that we can have, Mr. Speaker, if somebody wanted, I'll give you an example. If today, Mr. Speaker, you went to Meru and you decided to actually set up a facility which produces solar energy, Mr. Speaker, you know you cannot supply that solar to the grid of Kenya Power. Neither can you be allowed for you to put your own poles and sell that power around Meru. And you know you are able to produce solar power at less than $25 per watt, per kilowatt. And yet Kenya Power keeps buying power. We are told that there is a possibility. We have signed an agreement with Ethiopia. We don't know what is in that agreement. Independent power producers are still giving power to Kenya Power. What is it that these agreements that were signed 30 years ago, why is the government of President William Ruto not able to interrogate these meetings and expose the truth so that Kenyans can benefit? I really hope the president will keep his word, so that we are able to dismantle the nonsense that is going on in Kenya Power, where you have blackouts every year. They are changing stations where applied to every year. Kenya Power is increasing the price. We are buying power. Right now, the rains are heavy. There is excessive water. This house will do something about Kenya Power and the power problem in our country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Moima. Senator Roba Magoma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to make my contributions on this report that has been tabled by the Committee of Energy. First of all, I want to congratulate the members of this committee because, Mr. Speaker, I took my time to go through this report, and I can tell you that they did a thorough thorough job. Mr. Speaker, the biggest scam, the biggest fraud, the biggest con game in all of every other industry in this world is IPPs. Independent power producers. It's a scam, Mr. Speaker. Because if you look at how we are engaging them, we have literally instituted corruption. Because what we are saying is that we don't have the capacity as Kenya Power to produce and to distribute, yet we do. But we are putting an in-between person to trade on behalf of government. Mr. Speaker, when the Kenya Kwanza government came in and said we wanted to have a committee, a commission of inquiry on state capture. And there were people saying, what is state capture? You can't just be calling out names of state capture. IPPs is a clear example of state capture. Because this is an intentional system that has been created to facilitate deliberate efforts to just weaken an institution, Mr. Speaker. I heard yesterday my colleagues saying that we have to have transparency in terms of who are the owners of these IPPs. Absolutely. Because the first thing before we talk about how to disorganize or to bring down IPPs is we need to know who has been bringing our country down. That's the first step, so that we can put the faces of these cartels, so that we can say that it is this person who is actually the beneficiary of so many children dying when we have the power cuts. Mr. Speaker, it is important. And I'm glad that this report actually states that the first thing we have to do, we have to unveil. We have to unveil these companies. We have to put faces so that we can be able to say that so and so person is responsible to all the deaths, to all the destruction every single time we have power blackouts. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to also see that there's a recommendation there about honoring the cheaper IPPs and basically dealing with those ones, Mr. Speaker. I am not of the opinion that we should have IPPs. I am of the opinion that they should be shut down. And I've heard people saying that we cannot negotiate contracts. We have gone to China, Mr. Speaker. This government has actually gone to China to renegotiate past loans. So who are these people in the name of IPPs who we cannot renegotiate our contracts with? Who are they? Are they God? That we cannot renegotiate what it is we have gotten into. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at how we are approaching it, it is like we are walking on eggshells. That is why I want to congratulate the chair and the committee members, because they have really come out without fear, without favor, and they've documented what they found, and they've given the proper recommendations that have to be implemented, Mr. Speaker. And on that issue of renegotiating with the IPPs, Mr. Speaker, why should we allow to be held hostage? We are an independent state. We are no longer under colonial rule. So for someone to say we cannot renegotiate our contracts, are they trying to say that they are holding us hostage? Mr. Speaker, I have heard my chair of the delegation, Kisii County,